Hello, I'm Dr. Duke, and this is another episode of Right Makes Might. Thank you for being here. Well, over the last few weeks, we've seen a women's rebellion, so to speak. We had the infamous Day Without Woman rally in Washington, D.C., and outside of fawning media outlets, who really paid any attention? Let's be very blunt about this. For the average man living his life, surrounded by wives, sisters, daughters, women we deeply love and we care for. Contrary to the media narrative, the vast majority of men love their wives, love their daughters, love their mothers, work hard every day to make their lives more comfortable, go to work without ever taking a day off to protest so that the women in their lives can be a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more protected, and a little bit more actualized. So who paid attention to this outside of Washington, D.C., where a few public schools closed so female teachers could abandon their classrooms to go protest? Well, all you did, Women's March, is make more work for other women, for the moms who sent their kids to those ridiculous public schools to be educated, only to have to find alternate arrangements because the lady teachers decided not to show. All you did was create more work for women. You accomplished nothing. This is the thing that really gets me. How about this feminist bookstore in Shaker Heights, Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland, Loganberry Books, that made the incredibly brave decision to take every single book written by a man in their store and turn it backwards. So when you passed by it on the shelf, you saw the actual pages at the front of the book. You didn't see the author or the spine. Now, please tell me, other than the fact that we know that if you own and run a feminist bookstore in this country, it means that you probably have nothing to do but wait on that one customer every week who enters your store. So I understand there's a lot of time for women workers. It's an all-female employee-run store as well, and not a problem there. A bookstore that has only female employees. And isn't it nice? Isn't it a mark of how far you've come, ladies, that you can actually have bookstores that are feminist bookstores that only employ women? What do you think would happen if we had all male bookstores that only hired men and that only allowed male books to be visible on the shelves? I think you'd have an outrage. But, of course, there never has been in the long patriarchal history of the world a bookstore that did that to you. In any event, what gets me about this bookstore is it's a feminist bookstore, right? And obviously a very narrow-minded one from stunts like this. How many of those male books on the shelf, books written by men on the shelf, are actually anti-feminist books? The answer is none. It's a feminist bookstore with about 10,000 books in it, right? Which means all the men on the shelves are men who support feminist causes. They are men who've written books in defense of women and feminism. And so those are the voices, ladies, you're going to silence. You're going to take those men who agree with you and you're going to treat them in a discriminatory way to prove what exactly? That men who support you ought not to be able to do that. Well done. That brings me to my final subject, menstruation, right? If there was ever a time, ladies, when we would welcome your vacation from us, it might be during those wonderful days of PMS. But now we know, thanks to politicians and feminists, right? There's a new movement on called menstruation equality, right? It's the idea that we're going to let women take off work and go home if they're suffering from menstrual cramps. Politicians are now arguing that we should have free sanitary napkins, free tampons available to women. Newsweek magazine actually called this one of the great untalked about human rights issues in the world, menstruation rights. Well, I got a tip for you, ladies. Given how silly your whole movement is, maybe you can start with changing the name from menstruation to something a little less masculine, right? Men don't have these problems. Men don't suffer through this. We certainly, whenever our prostates are a little swollen and we have to pee extra times in the middle of the night, we don't get days off, nor do we ask for them. We don't go begging for free condoms, right, made available to all of us. You know what gets me about all of this? What feminist women seem to want is to be able to leave work whenever they're not feeling well. They want somebody other than themselves to be responsible for their birth control, for their abortions, for their tampons and sanitary napkins. They want the whole world to stop so they can get off a couple times a year just to protest whatever they want to protest or to demonstrate how important they are by not actually doing jobs. It seems to me, and you feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, what you really want is men to pay for these things. Because by simple definition, if you don't want to pay for your own birth control, if you don't want to, ladies, pay for your own abortions, if you don't want to pay for your own tampons, by definition, that means you want Men too, correct? So please explain to me how what you want in the name of feminism is different than what you've had for all these millennia, right? Men looking after, men providing, men taking care of. It seems to me that what you want is exactly what you rejected as feminists. Let me leave you with one last thought. You want to make the argument that men don't care about women. Take a look at the statistics about what the deaths are every year in this country from breast cancer and prostate cancer. Right? About as many men die every year from prostate cancer as women die of breast cancer. Can you even name the color of the ribbon that supports prostate cancer? I can't. I didn't even look it up. I don't even know what it is. I don't even know if there is a ribbon for prostate cancer. Why is it that male-dominated sports teams, once or twice a year, they don pink wristbands or pink cleats to support their wives, their sisters, and their daughters? It's because men want to see the women they love cured of breast cancer. Where is the reciprocation from women athletes on prostate cancer? When the WNBA every year has a women's, they wear the pink, right? They wear the pink uniforms to support breast cancer, and good for them for doing it. What about the husbands, the sons, and the fathers in their life? Do they not require that kind of assistance, that kind of donation? Why is it that men allow so much more money in this dominated society by males? So much more money goes to supporting a woman's issue like breast cancer than an equally fatal issue like prostate cancer. Could it be that maybe, ladies, feminist women anyway, that men care about you more than you care about the men in your lives? Is that possible?
This is Right Makes Might with Dr. Duke.